Crank this song. It should be like Johnny Rowe's intro song. The Apprentice, baby. That's when liberals used to like Donald J. Trump. He was a liberal. Not anymore, baby. That's right. Get that money. Johnny Rowe, our Kansas City insider. You know what? I want to start with this, Johnny Rowe, because you hate the Astros. What is worse, white privilege or the Astros privilege? You tell me.
I can't even really focus because you're making me laugh with this intro music. I don't know what you think. I don't know how you think I have all this money, but that was pretty good. That was pretty good. But man, to answer your question, it's hard to even focus on sports these days because I feel so bad that I actually am a white male. So I have to let everybody know that I feel bad and I have to put on my sandwich board and walk around the streets. Shaming myself that I'm a white man. It's terrible.
Oh, my gosh. Have you ever seen anything like this, though, with the Astros? Why is the commissioner protecting these guys?
So, you're getting me fired up from the start.
I know.
It's truly pathetic that it's come to this. Joe Kelly's going on podcasts and talking about it. It's like they can just they're getting away with everything. Their new manager, Dusty Baker, is swearing at Joe Kelly on the mound, and he's not getting suspended. Carlos Correa is not following proper social distancing protocols in that instant because Joe Kelly says that in that argument he came over to the Dodgers bench and spit at their team. That's obviously not part of the COVID guidelines. Nothing happened to Carlos Correa. And here's Joe Kelly getting his 8-game suspension, which I believe was reduced to 5, but that's still 5 too many. But, at the end of it, there's one silver line that you can take away, and it's that pathetic little twerp Jose Altuve is having a real tough go this season. And it really just warms me that he's hitting 187. He's 5'6".
Easy.
He's already got 17 strikeouts, and then in a game the other day against the A's, he had 3 errors in 1 inning. He was picked off of first the other day. He couldn't even get on base so bad that he tried to bunt his way on, and the ball hit his bat twice, and they had to call him out. And now he's just taking the day off. It's just pathetic. Dusty Baker saying stuff, quote, "This is killing him, and it's killing us to see him feel this way," end quote. Just shut up. I mean, it's just annoying that these guys cheated. COVID happened, and they're getting away with the interaction that they would get if there was no COVID in regards to having fans there. It just seems like it's frustrating to me that the Astros it seems like they're really getting away with it. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. No, it does. It does. And, look, I mean, they suspended Alex Cintron 20 games. But, I mean, he's a coach. Like, I don't know. The whole thing just continues to unravel. And I think when we look back on all of this, it'll be a pretty significant stain on Rob Manfred's tenure as commissioner of Major League Baseball. It really is going to be a dark moment, I think, for his leadership.
And look, it's an unprecedented thing. So if I want to look at it, if I want to give Rob Manfred every benefit of the doubt, this is a tough situation to deal with, just the way you look at it, because there's no real precedent. Okay, but let's forget about that, because you're the commissioner of Major League Baseball. You're the commissioner of the most sacred game ever to grace this country and the most beautiful sport to ever be created. It comes with the territory to make hard decisions like this, and I feel like he's gotten it wrong every step of the way. You don't just suspend the head coach, A.J. Hinch, for a season and the general manager for a season, and then fine the owner a monetary sum that would equate to a normal person just maybe dropping a $20 bill. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you have to set it from the start. This was a player-driven initiative, and none of the players, other than having a few breaking balls thrown at them and maybe a fastball by Kelly up and in, besides being thrown at, there's really been no discipline. There's been no backlash, really, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating that these players aren't being suspended, we give him a lot of flack for his postseason lack of success in the postseason, but somebody like Clayton Kershaw I feel bad for. I really do. Somebody like Aroldis Chapman, I mean, he's a wild card, but I feel for him too. We talk about this all the time, how Jose Altuve hit a walk-off home run on an Aroldis Chapman breaking ball to send the Astros to the World Series. It doesn't make any sense. In that count, you're supposed to look fastball, and why would Jose Altuve know a slider's coming and hit it 400-something feet? I feel bad for guys like this. Another stat that I pulled, too, in regards to breaking balls with Altuve, his swing and miss percentage on breaking balls this year compared to 2018 and 2019 is double. So he was around 20% swing and miss rate on breaking balls in 2018. This year, through 17 games, he's at 40%.
Holy cow.
Doesn't that tell you something?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty drastic split. It means that he got caught cheating, and he's no longer cheating, so he can't sit dead red.
And it's being proven, Nate, because now that it's caught and now that he's not performing well, right, what's something that you can control when you're in a slump at the plate? Your defense. I just mentioned he had 3 errors in 1 inning the other day. He's not tagging runners that are stealing second base. He can't control his base running when he does get on base. It's just an entire crumbling of the building here, and how is he reacting to it? He's giving us the sad puppy. I have no remorse for this guy. I mean, do you? You're saying that you led this off with that it really fires me up, and it does. But I'm providing statistics, and when I read that his breaking ball swing and miss percentage on breaking balls is double what it was when he was the MVP of the league, that's all I need right there, right? I'm not crazy.
Right, but this would be my only, I guess, pushback on all of it. It's him who has to struggle. So, and he's clearly going through something, mentally that is his own problem. And guess what? There's an old saying for that. Karma is a you-know-what. And he had it coming to him. And he's making 3 errors in 1 inning, and he's not hitting anything. He's, under the Mendoza line, and he's all torn up inside. This game will come back at you faster than you can blink. It will eat you up more than any media person could write in an article, anybody could say on radio, anyone could say on a television broadcast. The game will eat you up inside once you get into your head. I believe it was Sammy Sosa who said if you strike out 4 times and go home and think about it, you'll strike out the next 22. And that's how this game works. You have to be able to hit flush and move on. And clearly, the baseball gods aren't letting, even though Rob Manfred did, I don't think they're letting the Astros off as easy as they'd like.
Exactly. The baseball gods have a funny way of keeping the integrity of the game. And, Jose Altuve was, before all this happened, how could you not like the guy, right? Small in stature, but a huge heart, gold glove defense, leads the league in average, has great power, even though he's in a smaller ballpark. Just an all-around, rips freaking 30 to 40 bags a season, does it all.
Yeah, he's a great player.
Right? And was a guy that the Astros paid $10,000 to when they first brought him in, or something small like that. But then all of this comes out, and now how can you like the guy at all? And it's just disappointing that somebody like him did this. And I know I've talked a lot about him, but I haven't forgotten about Springer, Correa, or or Bregman either. Okay, yeah.
The 6'2" Alex Bregman.
Yeah, just ask him. Yeah.
Oh man. Well, I know it's frustrating, and I think maybe even adding to that frustration is the fact that COVID is blanketing them too. It's providing protection from them because the league has said they're going to come out and be very strict on throwing at guys and creating hostility if that leads to benches clearing. And in a 60-game season, nobody wants to get a 10-game suspension. And so the Astros are just further getting protected by, outside influencers when really the game has had a long standing of regulating itself. And right now you can't do that. And so that adds to, I think, the pent-up anger.
Exactly. And, you look at, like you're mentioning, these suspensions and stuff and how Cintrone got a 20-game suspension. You look at Laureano. I was listening to an interview with him this morning. Laureano claims that the reason that he got so hot with the Astros bench and Cintrone specifically is because he heard something derogatory from him about his mother, right? Like, I tend to believe Laureano in this situation. I mean, there has to be something like really drastic for you to be for your mind to say, I'm going to charge after an entire bench of 30 people, 30-plus people, and it's just me. So You have somebody like Cintrone saying something bad about Laureano's mother, and he goes after him. And, like you said, it's tough for these players, right, to want to get back at him because, or just to make amends or even just make things right by baseball regulating itself. But with a short season, it's like a deal with the devil. Like, if I'm going to go after these guys, well, I'm going to really hurt my team. And for Laureano to know that, right, I assume he's a big leaguer and he knows that. But he had there were layers to the whole situation with Laureano. He used to be on the Astros, and then they traded him. Mm-hmm. And there's the whole stuff with them cheating, right? Then he gets thrown at multiple times. The pitcher who threw at him on that last time was one of the pitchers who was involved in the Laureano trade when he left the Astros. And then he hears something about his mother from a bench hitting coach or whatever, Cintrone. And then he just,
he loses
goes full Amir Garrett on him. So that's what happens.
Well, it'll continue to be discussed and debated, and they'll continue to be protected. And then ultimately I think we'll get to a situation in which the game can regulate itself when this stuff is not, right on top of us, and maybe they'll take some punishment in other forms. I want to move on to some other things. Big news yesterday. Boy, the Chiefs are doling out their money, aren't they? 4 years, $57.5 million to Travis Kelce. You like it?
Love it. I think it's fantastic. And, with the Chiefs and the cap, to be honest, like I'm just living in the now with it. If there's cap trouble in, half a decade, 5 to 10 years, or 5 to 8 years, whatever it is, let's just live now. Let's win the Super Bowl right now and then deal with it later. In all reality, you got Mahomes locked up. That's all you really need. But it's great to have the band together, give guys the money that they deserve. 4 years, $57.25 million with $28 million guaranteed, as you said. But this isn't just going to some random player, right? This is an integral piece. This is Mahomes' safety valve. Travis Kelce, he does everything for this team. You mentioned earlier before I came on that it's either him or George Kittle is the best tight end in the league. I don't think, for me, it's still Kelce, but it's going to be Kittle here very soon. Kelce, just because of what he does, they're both integral pieces of their team, Kittle and Kelce, but when I rattle off stats like the following, it just makes me feel like Kelce still is the best. He's the only tight end to ever have 4 straight 100-yard seasons. On top of that, those 4 straight 100-yard seasons add that he's the only tight end to have 80 or more receptions in those 4 seasons. Among tight ends, he has been top 2 in the NFL in routes, targets, receptions, and yards each of the last 3 seasons. A couple more, he's the fastest tight end ever to 425 catches and 5,500 receiving yards. He's a 5-time Pro Bowler. He's a 4-time All-Pro. Since 2015, he has over 1,000 more receiving yards than any other tight end, and he's the 5th most in yards among all players. So that's wide receivers included. And the last one here, in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, since 2016 among tight ends, he's first in all 4 of those categories. Travis Kelce is a linchpin to this Chiefs team, and he's going to be here for 4 years on top of the 2 that he already had. 6 more years of Travis Kelce, lifetime Chief, and will be a Chief longer than Tony Gonzalez.
Not bad for a guy who was a third-round pick back in 2013. I think a lot of teams wish they had overlooked some of the issues maybe he had coming out of college. And you know what? Life is kind of about getting your, let's just say, who's swinging a BD, okay? And the girlfriend situation, she posted something on Instagram about showing off her hot body and all that. Well, here's the biggest one. I mean, Kelsey just comes down and slams a 4-year, $57 million contract right on that hits the wire. So I think Kelsey's probably got the better of the two from the girlfriend situation.
Once the news came out that he got that contract, I'm sure she sent him a text or a message of some
slid
sort
right back into those DMs.
What's up, ugly? What's up, big head?
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, and you make a good point with the cap. It is what it is. I mean, at some point it's going to come to a head, and they're going to have to make some decisions. What about Sammy Watkins? I mean, he's got to be kind of thinking to himself, why'd I take a pay cut? Everybody else is getting paid, but he went from $14 to $9 million. Not like that's bad, but heck, I guess that's what it takes to stick around a championship caliber club if you're Sammy Watkins.
Watkins, if you just kind of look him up on either Twitter or hear him interview or whatever, he is an interesting guy. He is a different thinker. The guy's already made freaking $100 million some dollars in his career, right? He's married, he's got kids. It just seems like, and he was drafted into a not so favorable situation in Buffalo. Went through some down times, and he mentioned this in interviews where he was really, partying and drinking a lot, but going out before games and stuff like that. And now here in Kansas City, he's kind of found like just a good situation for him. He's with the best quarterback talent that we've ever seen. He's in a role where he can flourish, but it's not like the entire burden falls on his shoulders like it did in Buffalo. Because your number one option is Tyreek or Travis Kelce. And truthfully, I think that Sammy Watkins is probably going to be your fourth option coming this season with the addition of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So Watkins can just take advantage of one-on-one coverage, which he obviously excels in. He's a guy who's just, he can just do it all. He's totally fine blocking. He's totally fine creating space for the other receivers, which obviously if you create space for Tyreek Hill, you're going to be in a winning situation. So the whole thing is just marinated into a great situation for Sammy Watkins. And it's true here. He's got a bunch of money, and the Chiefs decided to restructure him and move some money around, and it puts him in a better situation. Then it looks like Sammy has thought it through, and good for him. I'm all for guys going to get as much money as possible, but here Watkins is, the guy in his mid-20s. He's already got $100 million, and he's making the decision that he wants to continue winning and be in an environment where mentally he is in the best position. He's choosing that over a larger sum of money in a new environment. So that's kind of the way I look at it. I think it's a good move by Sammy Watkins, obviously, but whatever is the best for him, I just want him to pick that.
What the Chiefs are going to get on the practice field today, is that like one of the first full squad workouts they will have? I mean, they're less than a month away from their opener against the Texans.
First day in pads today. So, I wish,
nice to be up there.
Makes me miss them being up in St. Joe. Went to training camp, I think, three separate practices last year. It was really cool, but they're at Arrowhead. I mentioned last week that there's a cool video on the Chiefs' YouTube of how they've designed Arrowhead and the practice facility to cater to the COVID protocols. And if I was a player, I would feel really safe. And it looks like the players do too. I was thinking about some of these players opting out, whether they're on like the Jets or the Dolphins or whatever team it is. If I was a player on the fringe of making a roster and I could guarantee myself $150K, and I wouldn't want to play for the Jets either. But it looks like, that it's good that not a lot of players are leaving the Chiefs because they're the best team in the league, and it's a good situation. It's a well-run organization from top to bottom, from Clark Hunt all the way down to the guy who, the guys who wipe the floors of sweat. It's a good run organization, a team that's winning. And when you got 15 under center, people tend to look the other way on most things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, nobody wants to be the guy who opts out of a team that has a great chance of going back and winning another Lombardi trophy. Switching topics now to baseball. Johnny Rowe is our guest here on ESPN The JOCK. First of all, Johnny, where can people find you on socials, and give yourself a short plug?
Yep. So on Twitter, I like to talk sports with people, sportstalk_JR. My Twitter feed is basically a mesh of all sports things and a lot of politics on there these days. So that's where I talk sports. And then as far as Instagram goes, I'm a realtor in the area. I also specialize in investing. I'm actually going to Kansas City today after this radio session to look at some investment properties there with my family. So that's really exciting. And on Instagram, I'm JohnnyRowe_real estate on there. So thanks for that, man. Appreciate it every week.
Yeah, and check out that Instagram. He does some great before and after work, and you can see his dedication to his craft, I think, in the work that he puts into these homes. So check it out. Okay, baseball. The Royals are back at it. They're back in Minnesota. It seems like for being in a division where there's 10 teams, it sure seems like these teams are getting to know each other quite well.
Yeah, that's definitely true. They're obviously trying to keep things in the home markets, but they are in Minnesota for this weekend. The Royals are 5-1 in their last 6 games. You know, last week I was on here, it was like the sky was falling. I think I left everybody depressed when I was talking about how bad the Royals were. I know I for sure wasn't feeling very good, but they're in last place in the Central, but they're only 4 games back in the division. They're 2 games back of second place Detroit. And against Minnesota a few days ago at home, the Royals swept them. So it's crazy how baseball works. You know, that's why it's a great game. Any day, anybody can win, and that's what makes it awesome. I'll give you a few highlights of the team so far. Salvador Perez is hitting .329 and on a 10-game hitting streak. Didn't play all of last year with Tommy John surgery. It's good to have him back. He is just an awesome player. Whit Merrifield still hitting up near 300. He's at .293, playing great baseball. Brad Keller back with the Royals. Through 2 starts, Brad Keller has got 11 innings pitched, 5 hits, 0 runs, 10 strikeouts, and 5 walks, which is really good for Brad Keller. And I found actually a pretty interesting stat on Brad Keller. Since 2018, there's only 2 pitchers with a higher B WAR than Brad Keller. B WAR is Baseball Reference's version of WAR. The only 2 pitchers with a higher B WAR than Brad Keller's 7 since 2018 are Colorado's Herman Marquez and a guy you know pretty well, St. Louis's Jack Flaherty. So Brad Keller, underrated pitcher in the big leagues.
Before we let you go, any concern over Brady Singer? I mean, in 20 innings, he's surrendered 18 hits. He's walked 8 guys. His ERA is 4.5. What are you seeing out of Brady Singer, who was a first-round pick?
Yeah, not worried at all. Strikeout numbers are up. He'll get the other things corrected, and he'll get the command in. And, yeah, I'm totally fine with that. Not too worried about Brady Singer, and I'm really excited for the nice young core of pitchers coming up with, with Brad Keller being in there, Singer, Chris Bubich, and the other guys. And hopefully my good buddy and your good friend here, Grant Gavin, minor league pitcher for the Royals, hopefully he gets the call pretty soon, too. I'd like for that, and hope for the best for Grant Gavin, too.
Hey, we are all about promoting friends of the show to the big leagues, okay? There's no question.
Yeah, and we have a lot of pull here, right? I mean, they're listening to us.
Yeah, we do. Hey, you know what? We got Dylan Carlson to the big leagues. He's a friend of the show. It only took a pandemic to get him there, but hey, he should be in the lineup when the Cardinals finally play, if they ever do play. I don't know when that's going to happen, but they're driving to Chicago. Can you believe that?
I can't drive 55.
55, a lot of speed. You don't want to be speeding through Springfield, Illinois now. Sangamon County, those cops on motorcycles, they'll get you. They'll nab you.
Hey, before I get out of here, let me hit you with a few good quick stats around baseball that look really good. I'll make these quick. I was just doing some quick research before, and this is awesome. You know, Charlie Blackmon in Colorado is hitting .472. He's got 34 hits already, which is 6 more than second place. He's leading the league in RBIs with 20. In 15 games this year, a guy that baseball does a horrible job with, Mike Trout. For 15 games, he's hitting .328. He's second in home runs with 8, 16 RBIs, and he's slugging .738. But the Angels are 7-12, and they've got over $1 billion in contracts out that include Pujols and Upton. I don't really know what they're doing. And then through the last 162 games, as of yesterday, Mike Trout has 58 home runs, and the guy who everyone thinks is the best home run hitter in baseball, Aaron Judge, only has 44. And the last one that I'll hit you with is that Mookie Betts had 3 home runs yesterday. he is now in a three-way tie in Major League Baseball history with Sammy Sosa and St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer Johnny Mize with 6 3-home run games. Sosa did it in 2,354 games. Mize, 1,884 games. Only 813 games it took Mookie Betts to hit 3 home runs in 6 different games, 5 from the leadoff spot. I bet the Red Sox are really they've got a real chapped ass that he's out of there. I'd say so.
Yeah, well, tell Mookie to get off his knee, and for $365 million, that's what I have to say to Mookie Betts. Johnny, thank you, man. Always a pleasure, partner.
My man.
You the man.